Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Milk and Honey podcast. I am so excited because I have my friend Alex Edwards on today, and she is seriously just the sweetest thing I've ever met. I love her. She's so great. So naturally, Alex loves Jesus. She's also an expert Squarespace designer, which I think is really cool. She helps Christian business owners create these really beautiful, beautiful websites. Like, please go watch her Instagram stories when she shares these mood boards and things, and I'll link her social. It is it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And you do websites in like 2 weeks, don't you? Like, you do like a crazy fast. Yeah, she does like, here's your whole business in 2 weeks sort of thing, which I find incredible. She's just amazing. So, anyway, thanks for being here, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to chat more with you, Lemon. I really, admire you and how you are so bold in your faith on socials and how you're connecting with other Christian business owners. And I love that. I love being a part of it. Yeah, and so I do. I help business owners launch their website, build and launch a website within 2 weeks or less. So I even have shorter time frames. It's just one of those things, like your website is your largest marketing tool for your business, of course, and you want it done right, but you need it done like yesterday. So those short timelines is really important, and having something launched that you can build upon is really special.
Yeah, I'm like amazed because I have helped so many people with WordPress websites and we'll be like a full year into the process.
Oh,
And I'm like, So I love it. I love that you can get that done so quickly. And I sort of want to talk about the story that we were talking about before we recorded. And because you brought it up too when you were talking about me being bold in my faith. And I would love to talk to you about how that plays out in your business because I think so much of the entrepreneur space is very new age,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Hmm.
I know like when I was looking for like service providers early in my business, I'm talking like 2015,
Hmm.
right? Or coaches or anything, it was almost impossible to find a Christian.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I would love to talk about how you show up really bold in your business and what difference that makes in your business.
Yeah, definitely. So, that's one of the things, like when I first started my business, I wasn't as bold in my faith. Like, if someone asked me, of course I'm gonna tell them, like, yeah, I'm in love with Jesus. I'm obsessed with him, everything that he's done for us. We can't go on without him, but only if someone asked. And to me, that just didn't feel right. But then trying to find a way for it to kind of mesh into like the modern entrepreneurship, where you see on socials and you see, on podcasts and videos, everybody's like, oh, yeah, they have their own successes and, they do things, but they kind of make it seem more of like, they do it on their own. Like all the success only came from them, like, their own person. And, it doesn't really work like that. We can't do it without Jesus. So that was one of the things I kind of struggled with, was being bold in my faith, especially on my website, because your website is like your first impression. People, when they hop on your website, that's when it's all about you, how you serve, how you show up. So putting your faith in there is really important. And yeah, and so I started, just putting through my website, like, I help Christian entrepreneurs, like I'm in love with Jesus and this is what he's done for my life, and sharing more of my story. And I was attracting more right fit clients. So more clients who align with that and who were maybe scared to step out in their faith online. And, I was able to help them that way and help them, build a marketing tool around that. So it's just one of those things where, like, we come from a place of fear, but it's really important. Like, we need people to know, like, all these successes you see me, launching websites and building websites and providing for my family and doing all this. I cannot do this without Jesus. Like, a lot of times we try and we fail, but having it very important that, like, I cannot do it without him. So it's a sweet spot of trying to, level that out on your website, but it's definitely doable.
Okay, I love this so much because you're like, there's so many things I want to talk about just from what you said. Like, so you niche down, which I think people are really afraid to do, but
Yeah.
because you niche down, you found more right fit clients. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I niched down, I was kind of like, and that's, when you start your entrepreneurship, we're in that mindset of like, I can help anybody, anybody who's willing to be a client, I'll work with them. And in the beginnings, that might be good for getting your first couple clients, but you get burnt out really quick and you're not connecting with people who you can benefit. So, niching down and putting like, this is the type of person that I work with. This is how I can help this person. It really helps people when they're on your website to make a decision, because if someone hops on your website and they're kind of like, oh, well, you help this group of people and you help this group of people and service this group of people. Are you really a pro at what I need? Are you really a pro at, the type of services that I need? So niching down really helped me hone in on, what type of entrepreneur I want to work with. And even if it's not like an industry specific type of thing, it can be like what type of person it is. So niching down really helped me a lot. I know that's one of the things a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do it, but it's critical. And especially in niching down and being bold in my faith on my website, it really helped me to connect with other Christians and have that fellowship and have friendships and connections, and then people I can refer out and people refer me. And so it's really about building a network too.
I love that so much because I know I've worked with all types of clients in the past, right? And the burnout is so real
Yes.
when you're not the right fit. And so, okay, I also want to talk about what you said about your website being your first impression.
Yeah.
How do you make a good first impression?
Yeah. So it's really hard. And like, Lemon, people have an average of like 5 seconds when they hop on your website of, what they're going to see, what they're going to think about you, what they're going to read, if they're going to keep scrolling and looking around your website, or if they're just going to pop off and find somewhere else. So it's really important to have that good, strong first impression. And that plays into like your homepage. That's like your main real estate on your website. So your homepage in the very top section where most of the traffic is going to land. So that's where you need to, you get that one shot to make a really clear, bold statement about, what your brand's about, what your business does, and then also some type of design that plays into that, maybe a nice picture, things like that. But that very first, like, how I help, how I serve statement is truly key, truly important.
Okay, I love what you said about being bold because, again, I think people are really afraid to
Yeah.
be bold in their convictions and who it is that they serve for fear of like being offensive or, now the whole thing is like you have to be tolerant, right? And like,
Yeah.
so people are like so afraid to make really bold claims about who they are and who they serve, and there's like a mindset issue, right, that you have to go through to get there. Can you talk about what that was like for you when you're like, okay, I'm gonna step out in faith, and like what how you got to that
Yeah,
process for
yeah.
you?
So it was really just dealing with the constant burnout and the inconsistency of like signing clients and launching websites and things like that, because my niche was so broad and it was just so, just wide. It was like, I can help you build a website in 2 weeks or less. I didn't even throw in there Squarespace. I didn't even throw in there like Christian entrepreneurs. None of that. It was just like, and I mean, you could attract anybody. And of course, you attract people who, you know, they're not a good fit for multiple reasons. The way that they work, y'all can't work together well, or, maybe their price point or, programs or functionality, things like that. So I ran into a lot of issues with there. And, when my business was in this stage of growth, but it felt like, every time I would hit that next little growth, I was like pushing so hard to get there, like pulling it, pulling it. And, I was like, every other aspect of my life, like I give to God. And I'm like, help me, Lord. What do you want me to do? Less of me, more of you. Except for in my business, I was like, no, when it comes to like making money and providing, this is, me and my little flesh. Like I'm going to pull on, hold on to this, Lord. And that's when the light bulb went off. He was like, no, no, thank you. That's not how it works. No, ma'am. So once I kept hitting that burnout and that it felt like a struggle to just make money, and I was making okay money, I was like, there's got to be another way. There's got to be a better way. So then I was like, okay, I'm handing this over to God. And then he really laid it on my heart, like, Alex, who can you serve best? A Christian entrepreneur just like you, someone who's been in that spot, who needs help with this. This is how you can serve. And so, and then even then, after, I came to that, I was still like hesitant to put it on my website. Like, of course, I would say, like, in my bio, in my about page, like, I love the Lord. I have one of my favorite scriptures on the bottom of my website in the footer. But it was like, no, front and center, front and center. This is where, you need people to know. And so once I did that, it's like, the floodgates opened up. I had more clients that were lining up to work with me. They were better fits for me and my business. I was able to connect with them on a deeper level and serve them even better. And they were higher paying clients, and it's just like all these blessings on blessings. And it was just easier people to work with. I think a lot of times we think like, oh, let's hit the numbers. But let's think about like the impact like our services are making, how it's connecting other people, how it's serving other people. And then look at that type of stuff. So yeah, it was a struggle for me, but when I came to and I was like, let me just submit. Like, let me just submit, let me just release it. And since then it's just been blessing on blessing, and I've been able to connect with some really amazing Christian entrepreneurs.
I love this so much, this radical obedience
Yeah.
and not being necessarily perfect in the radical obedience either. But I will tell you guys, Alex's website, it's bold right at the beginning. It says, custom Squarespace web design for the purpose-driven Christian entrepreneur. Like she is so crystal clear on who she serves. And you have a wait list right now, right, for
Yeah,
your stuff.
yeah. So I'm booking out until May right now, which is such a blessing. It's so amazing. And I only work with one client at a time. That's how we can keep on our like short timelines, fast launches, designated design time. But yeah, it's been able to book out at least 2 or 3 months ahead by being crystal clear and being bold in that very first piece of my website. Yeah, and even a lot of times we kind of overthink it. Like there can be like clever sayings or catchy phrases and cute things that you could put there, but is it really clear? What if someone doesn't get it? And especially if you get it and you like it, but what if your ideal client doesn't get it? Then it's a waste of real estate.
Yes. Okay. I really love this because I think I see this, because of my background's in marketing. And
Mhm.
so I'll see people come with like really cute website names or really cute program names. And I'm like, friend, what does this even mean?
Yeah,
Nobody's Googling this.
yeah, exactly.
Nobody's Googling this. And so I love that yours is something very searchable, right? Do you get a lot of traffic from search engine or is it all from
Yeah.
referrals?
So it's a mix. So since I've built like over 100 Squarespace websites, I have like a pretty big client list. So like I get a lot of referrals, which is, of course, amazing. But then my second highest, source of clients is Google. So yeah, being crystal clear and, simplifying a lot on your website. Like, people think like, oh, I need to have more and more and more. So people think that I'm the pro. They think that I'm the expert, but that's not necessarily true. Sometimes more is just confusing. So yeah, simplifying that a lot really helps people to find you from Google. And then, we have short attention spans. We don't really want to like read and read and read unless it's like a specific topic, that we're interested in. But if we know it's something like, for example, web design is like maybe someone's tried to build their website in the past, maybe they've had someone didn't have a good experience, and they're not necessarily wanting to read like every single piece that goes into the process or what's included. They're just like, I need someone who can help me with the website. This is what they specialize in. This is who they help. Let's book a call. So yeah, simplifying a lot really helps with your SEO and your reach on Google.
Oh, I love that. When you were saying it, the first thing that came to mind was like, have you ever been to the Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah.
They have like a 97-page menu.
Yeah.
Like it's so excessive for zero reason.
Hmm.
It's very overwhelming when
Yes.
you go there, right? You have no clue what you want. So I love that you're like simplify because I think as entrepreneurs, we try to make everything very complicated
Yeah.
to appear really fancy.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I've only been to the Cheesecake Factory one time and it was so overwhelming that I haven't gone back. So that's a perfect example, you know?
I love it. I love that you're like, yep, nope, it was no. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what happens though on your website when it's way too complicated, when there's way too much going on, they're going to leave.
Yeah.
Like you said, they were going
Mhm.
to leave. I would love to know how it is because I've seen the way you brand design and all of those things. So like how do you pull out, these beautiful brands? Like what does that process look like for you to create something that gives somebody a really beautiful first impression?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in my services, my main thing is like website design. Like, of course, we want a strategic, functional, beautiful, searchable website. But I also offer branding packages on the side too. So if you're like, maybe you have a brand and you're moving away from it, or it's not resonating with you anymore, or maybe you're starting fresh and you don't have a brand yet, I create very simple brand kits that are just like word mark logos. So not like any like picture art. I'm not an illustrator or anything like that, but just a very nice font pairing logo. And what that process looks like is I have a brand assignment. So once we have like a consultation call, we see if we're a good fit, then we, send over the proposal, get everything booked on the design calendar. And then, if someone selects that they want to, have a brand kit made for them, then I send over the brand assignment. And that has some very strategic questions about, like, who's your ideal client? How do you want them to feel when they land on your website? What are some things, that resonate with you when you land on other websites? What are some color palettes that you kind of push towards? And of course, like, depending on the industry someone's in, there are like different color palettes and, things that go with industries for, like, health and wellness. You think more like the greens and the blues and things like that. So I'll pull a couple of different curated color palettes, design some word mark logos and send them over for approval. And then we just go from there. So, like, I like this color palette, but I don't like this font, but I like how this is stacked. And then it's really a collaboration of building their brand kit. And then the brand kit is ready to load into the website. And then that's when the fun starts of, like, the actual design of the website and getting all the content and things like that added.
I love that. I love this. I was sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, I wonder if I should have Alex look at my brand. Like, and be like, give me your thoughts and feelings on my brand
Yeah.
because mine, y'all, I'm gonna be so honest. You're gonna laugh when I tell you this, Alex. I bought a template because I use WordPress and I used to
Mhm.
design websites. I still do for some people on WordPress.
Yeah.
And I was I bought this template because it was so beautiful and it had all these colors. And I was like, I really like these colors together. Slapped one more color in it because I was like, I think this color fits with it. I needed one more. And that was it. Like, there
Yeah.
was nothing fancy about my brand situation at all. And so I hope it resonates with people. Now I'm like, maybe we need to book a call and talk about this. Um, but I love what you said about like this intentionality and the industry. Like I had a client a couple of years ago, I like 2015, right? So I'm old. And it was so cool. She's obsessed with like Harry Potter and all things like very nerdy. And so her business, she renamed it. It used to be her name photography, renamed it Swish and Click Photography.
Oh,
And then her logo, it was when circle logos were like really popular
yeah.
this designer bent like wands around it, but it was like florally looking. And I was like, it was so cool. And so all of her clients now, it's so fascinating to me. All of her clients come with these really like nerd centric like weddings and things.
That's
And I'm
cute.
obsessed with it. And I'm like, I'm like, she's the only one that I've ever seen do something like she's doing Marvel weddings and Star Wars weddings. And
Wow.
I'm like, that is so brilliant. And it's all because of the intentionality like on her website.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
that's the only that's the only thing. I mean, and her photos are beautiful. Do not get me wrong. I love them. But it was a specificity. Did I say that right? I think it did. It was that like attracts all these people to her and gets her to stand out. And so I love that that's something that you focus on too, because it's not necessarily like, I don't know, because you work with Christians specifically, like I'm thinking about this giant eternal like ROI for the
Uh-huh.
work that you do. Have you like thought about the eternal ROI of what you do?
I have, and I have been convicted several times by the Lord, like heavy when, before I was bold in my faith on my website and, publicly sharing, I want to work with Christian entrepreneurs. I would have consultation calls with people who maybe didn't know the Lord, and we would, off topic, have a little small talk about something else. And then I would, be like, oh, they're probably not a good fit or whatever else. And then I would get off the call and I'd be like, well, what if nobody ever told her about Jesus? And maybe that was my chance. And then I would feel so convicted. Like, and so thinking about that, it's like, when someone does go on my website, even if it does like spark a little bit of interest, like, okay, here's Alex. Like, she like was a young mom, like had my first baby at 19, and then built a business and she's successful and like she's like not taking any credit for this at all. She's literally giving all the glory to God. Who is this? What can I learn? And I just think about that. And at night I just pray like, you know, I hope that's the case. I just hope even if someone sees like one Instagram story or one podcast or whatever else of me talking about like what God has done in my life and how He's provided for me and my children and future generations, maybe that sparks a little bit of interest for someone and maybe they get plugged into a local church, or if they want to reach out to me, we can have a conversation. Um, yeah, I think about that all the time. I really do.
I love that you look at your business like as a ministry a little bit. I think like I'm a big proponent of marketplace ministry, right? Like
Hmm.
where there are so many people who won't necessarily know the Lord unless they interacted with your business
Yeah.
specifically. And and because you work with Christian entrepreneurs, right? I highly doubt every Christian entrepreneur you work with is like a coach or something like that, right? Like they're doing they're
Different
operating
things.
in a in a variety of fields, right? Like you brought up health and everything like that. And so I love what you're doing because you're helping people get this kingdom message that they have, right? Putting Christians out on the forefront in the marketplace in a way that lets us expand the kingdom. And think about this all the time. I'm like, wow, like we can, what if like one person came to your site and like, and you would never know, right? If one person came to your site, didn't know the Lord before, they get plugged into a church, now their whole family tree is different.
Yeah. Generations. Yeah.
Generations of people that you may never know.
Yeah, saving their children, saving their spouse, saving their parents, their brothers or sisters. I think about it all the time. I really do. And I just hope and pray that that is the case. Even if one person, sees that and sparks one little seed in them, it's just, yeah, it's amazing. And, I just want like my business and what I do, I try to like be super intentional, of course, with like branding and websites and even social posts. Like, is this glorifying God? Because that's like what we're here for, we're here to glorify God. He's gracious and loving and sovereign. And so, yeah, I think about that all the time. And, I'm glad you brought that up.
I love that so much. I think that is seriously just so beautiful to see you like walking in this purpose, right? Because yeah, our purpose at the end of the day is to glorify God, and how we glorify God looks different for each of us.
Hmm.
And I love that. I feel like you've just fully found like your purpose and passion and the way God wants you to expand the kingdom, because you are expanding the kingdom in ways that you will truly never understand. And I love that about you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love to hear that. That warms my heart. I do. I hope and pray that's the case. And, even one person. And that's what I was thinking about too. Like my husband, he does ministry work. And so I sit here and I think like, my business, like how am I glorifying God? Like, how does this in the big scheme of things, how can this help? And this is how I found I was like by being bold and, being open and honest and, friendly and inviting and welcoming people. So yeah, that's definitely something. It took a while to try to figure out how to do it. And like you said, I don't necessarily only work with Christian entrepreneurs or only Christian based or Christian service businesses. So like churches or ministries, I don't only work with those, which I do sometimes, but like I helped a hairdresser, she owns a hair salon in Ohio. She's a Christian entrepreneur. And so she wanted a website and helped her. And she's like, it feels good to just connect with someone else and fellowship and, make that connection. So yeah, it doesn't have to be just, a pastor or ministry, but, how like you and your business, how you serve and how you show up for others can look different in different ways.
I love this so much. So, if you were going to leave the listeners with one piece of advice for being bold in their faith in their business, what would you say to them?
Yeah, so I would say like just really simplify. So don't worry about having to try to explain yourself or, go through all the emotions. Just simplify. Say like this is who I am, this is how I show up, this is who I glorify, and this is how I serve. So, being very intentional and clear on your website. And sometimes, it's really hard to do that. Like especially when we're trying to talk about ourselves. We're trying to come from a place of being humble and, things like that. And sometimes it's hard on a website. So even having like like a business bestie or someone who you trust and you can kind of bounce ideas off of and maybe hop on a call and say, like, how does this sound? How does this flow? Kind of talk through some of those things. But having that crystal clear, mission and who you are and how you serve and who you glorify at the very top of your website, front and center, is going to serve you so well.
I love that so much. Alex, thank you for being here. Just I love you. I love your like I love when I talk to you because I feel like you guys you can feel the Lord when you talk to her.
Oh,
She is just so intentional with her relationship with the Lord and it's personified in everything she does. Um Alex, where can everybody go to find you, my friend?
yeah, absolutely. So, of course, my website, so alexedwards-design.com. And then I have like a blog full of like tons of information. If you're getting started on your website, or if you're looking for ways to optimize your website, check out my blog. There's tons of freebies. And then I also have a freebie section too of like a planner and all that good stuff. Like I even have a mood board in there to start curating your brand. So all that good stuff is totally free. You can head over to my website and see it, or connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. It's I just changed it. I believe it's Alex E Web Design is my Instagram handle, but if not, it's on my website. You can just click the little Instagram icon.
I love it. And I will link to all of her social for you guys in the show notes and her website. Go look at them. They're beautiful. And seriously, go obsessively watch her Instagram stories because they're also always beautiful. Like, I love whenever I see your little bubble on my Instagram. So, just thank you for being here, Alex. I just really love and appreciate you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love you too, Lemon. Thank you for having me.